So you're thinking about buying your first Bitcoin, but when you start looking, you just see this giant, confusing wall of options, right? Well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to demystify this whole process of picking your very first crypto exchange. We'll give you the confidence you need to get started and to do it safely. Okay, let's dive in. Here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll talk about why this whole thing feels so overwhelming. Then, I'm going to hand you a complete toolkit to evaluate any platform out there. After that, we'll decode those super tricky fees, we'll put security front and center because it's your top priority, and we'll wrap up with a clear action plan so you can make your first move. All right, first up, let's just tackle that feeling of being completely lost. I mean, there are hundreds of these exchanges, and every single one is promising you the world. So, where do you even start?
Look, if you're feeling that kind of analysis paralysis, that is totally normal. Honestly, the sheer number of choices is the first big hurdle for pretty much every newcomer. But the thing is, the stakes here are a little higher than just picking a cool-sounding name.
Yeah, choosing the wrong platform isn't just a small inconvenience. It can be really, really costly. We're talking about some very real risks here. Things like cybersecurity breaches, having your account or your withdrawals frozen, getting hit with hidden fees that just eat away at your investment, or worst case scenario, completely losing control of your assets. A smart choice right at the beginning helps protect you from all of this down the road.
Okay, enough with the scary stuff. Let's get into the solutions. I'm going to give you a super simple but really powerful framework. Think of it as a toolkit you can use to check out any exchange and find the one that's perfect for you. And here it is, your 7-point checklist. Seriously, this is your secret weapon. You want to look at everything from how user-friendly it is so you don't accidentally make a mistake, to what payment methods it supports, and of course, those fees. Then you have security features, whether it's registered with regulators, and even customer support. Trust me, you'll want help if you ever get stuck.
So let's just talk about that first point, user-friendliness. When you're just starting out, the last thing you want is some complicated pro-level trading dashboard with a million charts. You want something that's clean, simple, and intuitive. That's why platforms like SwiftX and Coinbase are so often recommended for beginners. They just make the whole process really straightforward.
All right, now for a topic that trips up so many people, fees. This is basically how exchanges make their money. And yeah, it can get kind of complicated. But once you understand the basics, you'll make sure you keep more of your own money. And what's wild is just how much these fees can vary. I mean, just look at this table. The difference between a fee of 0.01% and 0.60% is huge, especially over time. These are spot trading fees, which is just a fancy way of saying the cost you pay each time you buy or sell. As you can see, lower fees mean more of your money actually goes into your investment. It really, really pays to compare.
And how you put money in your account matters too. You basically have this trade-off between cost and speed. A bank transfer almost always cheaper. It's great for bigger amounts, but it might take a day or two to show up. On the other hand, a debit card is instant and super convenient, but you're going to pay a higher fee for that convenience. For your first time, a bank transfer is probably the most cost-effective way you get started.
Okay, let's switch gears to what is, without a doubt, the single most important part of this whole thing. Seriously, nothing, and I mean nothing, matters more than keeping your investment safe and secure.
Let's start with the absolute bare minimum, two-factor authentication, or 2FA. You know what this is. It's that second check, usually a code that pops up on your phone, just to prove it's really you logging in. If an exchange doesn't offer this, don't even think about it. Walk away. It's a super simple step that stops the vast majority of hacks. Turn it on the second you create an account.
So the next question is, where do you actually store your crypto after you buy it? Leaving it on the exchange, that's called a hot wallet, is convenient, kind of like leaving cash at a bank. But you're trusting them to protect it. For long-term holding, the gold standard is a personal cold wallet. Think of it as your personal digital vault that's completely offline, giving you total control and protecting you from any big online hacks. And that brings us to this saying that you hear all the time in the crypto world, and for a very good reason. Not your keys, not your crypto. See, when your crypto is sitting on an exchange, they control the private keys, the master password to your funds. But when you move it to your own personal wallet, you are the one in control of those keys. It's the difference between just being a creditor and being the actual owner.
And one last thing on security. Do a quick check to see if the exchange is registered with a national regulator like AUSTRAC in Australia. Now, let's be clear, this is not the same as getting insurance from a bank. But what it does mean is that the platform is meeting some serious legal standards. It's a really powerful signal that you're dealing with a legitimate company, not some fly-by-night operation.
All right, We have made it through the maze. You've got your toolkit, you understand the fees, and you know how to prioritize security. Now it's time to put it all together and turn you from a learner into a confident owner.
You know, a really fantastic way to dip your toes in the water without any risk is to use educational tools. Some exchanges, especially Coinbase, have these learn-to-earn programs. You just watch a few short videos about different crypto projects, you answer a quick quiz, and boom, they reward you with a little bit of that crypto. It's great. You learn something new, and you get your first digital assets for free.
And you know, it's worth remembering that the tech you're using here is actually designed for security. You don't need to be an expert on every step in this diagram. The key takeaway is simply that when you make a transaction, it's being verified by a whole decentralized network, not just a single company. That's what makes the system so transparent and robust.
So here it is, your final action plan. Step 1, know your goal. Are you holding for the long term or just trading? 2, pick 2 or 3 exchanges and compare them using our checklist. 3, the moment you sign up, turn on 2FA before you do anything else. 4, start small, just a little bit to get comfortable with the process. And finally, step 5, start making a plan to eventually move your crypto into a personal wallet for that ultimate security.
And that's it. You now have the framework. You have the knowledge to make a smart, safe choice. You've gone from feeling overwhelmed to being totally equipped. So the only question left is, what's your first step going to be?